Okay, and we are good to go. Groovy. Okay, so come down onto your mat, come to seated. And you could come into any seated position that you like. I really like a crossed leg position. My hips just seem to like it. But if you would, good morning, Hazel. Hi. Yeah. You're on mute, so if you need to tell me anything, then unmute yourself. But lovely to see you, Hazel. And I'm glad that you're here live at the wherever we are. Okay. So coming into either crossed legs or bent knees, just in any way that you can get a nice feeling of a nice long spine. If you're in crossed legs, hello. There's a nice doggy there. You could always put your a block or a cushion or a book underneath your underneath your tailbone so that you can tilt your pelvis a little bit forwards. I'm sure you've all heard me say this a million times. But just let's think about getting some length through the spine to begin with. And then you could take your hands to your knees, or you could take them into your lap. And you could have palms up or palms down. It really just depends on how it feels for you. We want you to be comfortable. Generally, a traditional way would be palms up with finger and thumb pressed together in a mudra with the other three fingers close together. But you don't have to do that if it doesn't feel right to you. Okay, and we're just going to drop the chin into the chest with our nice long spine. So you'll feel that extension through the back of the neck here as well. And you can close your eyes here for a second or two. And start bringing your focus down into your breath. Maybe start to notice the movement of breath coming in through your nostrils and out. Again, we're always trying to breathe through the nose, in and out through the nose, unless directed otherwise. Generally, we're keeping the breath in and out through the nose. If you are familiar with Ujjayi breath and you want to access it now, it's a back of the throat, constricted throat breath. And it's just another tool that we use to keep our focus throughout the practice. So just bringing your focus down into the movement of your breath, into how your body feels in your seated position. And let's try and actively let go of anything that has come before this hour that we have today. Just letting go of any rushing about, any stresses or administrative things that you might have had to do. And just bring your focus down into your heart space here. So your chest, across the front of your chest, where your chest lifts as you inhale and drops as you exhale. And feel that sense of comfort as you bring your focus down into that area. Let's take a moment here as well to set an intention for your practice. That could be anything. If you've got lots going on at the moment, it could be to resolve any issues that you might have at the moment, or to work through them through your practice, just allowing your mind a little bit of space. As you focus on your practice, then things can just start shifting. Problems can sometimes be a little bit solved through the practice. Or it could be just to focus on your breath, which is my favorite. Okay, and that's just going to lead you and carry you through the practice. Let's bring our hands together in prayer here. Take another deep breath and actually feel a little bit of an arch through the spine. Draw the shoulders back, lift the chin up a little bit and open the eyes here. And let's inhale again and extend the arms up above you. So really reach through the spine here. Allow the belly to drop. So trying to just draw that belly button in a little bit. And then exhale and let's take the arms all the way down. And inhale back into prayer. Exhale. Let's inhale again. Lift those arms up. And exhale. Bring the arms down and in. On the inhale, bringing them into prayer and up again. And exhale. So we're taking some big circles here. Bringing the hands together and inhale. Exhale. And bring the hands all the way down, either onto your mat or onto a block on either side of you, just so that you can bring your hands down onto your mat. So you might want to remove the block from your seat now, if you had one there. And we're just going to inhale and take a big stretch up through one side of the body. So I'm going for the right side now, but don't worry if you're doing the mirror of what I'm doing, that's absolutely fine. Reach through those fingers. Nice big long breath through here. And reach through those fingers and keep moving with the pose. But just observing your breath. We're still trying to take these really nice long breaths in here. And inhale, come back up, drop that hand. And then we're going to inhale, raise this left arm up here. Extend, 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 and over if that feels comfortable for you. Making sure that you can still take these nice big inhales. If your breath starts to falter, then it might mean that you've come too far. So you might want to lift up a little bit. And keep those fingers active so the fingers are moving through here or extending through those fingers. And bring yourself back up. Roll those shoulders a little bit. And let's bring your left hand to your right knee. We're just going through these I know we do them every week, but they're a really nice way to stretch. So we're just taking a nice twist through here. So you can bring your hand down to the mat behind you, left hand to right knee. And just take these nice twists through here. They're just a really nice way of waking up your energetic body, twisting through the spine. The spine is where we're sort of focusing on throughout the practice to try and just remove any energy blocks that we might have through there. And slowly come back to center. If you want to change the cross of your legs here, I know that's a bit crazy because it always feels a bit weird to do that. But then take the right hand to your left knee and left hand behind. Again, taking this twist through here, thinking about the spine more than anything else. If you're the kind of person that carries tension through the shoulders, in this pose you might feel it a little bit more. But take your time in these twists, allowing the breath to move you. And then inhale, bring yourself back to center. And let's just roll those shoulders again a little bit here. We're going to take the legs out in front of us at this point. And just release the flesh from your sit bones here. Now, if you've got really tight hamstrings, again, you might want to take a block or a bolster and place that underneath your seat. So if you need to, oh, Romani, did you get lost then? And okay, all right, great. The internet. Okay, so if you've got tight hamstrings, you might want something underneath the seat to help you to stretch out those legs, but you can keep them a little bit bent if you need to. And we're just going to take a big inhale here. Reach those arms up, and we're going to exhale and fold forwards here. And so traditionally, you would bring the arms forwards towards the toes, but actually, that I find means that everyone sort of starts to roll their back. So I'd rather you almost took the hands down to your mat. If you need blocks again under the hands, that's absolutely fine. But we're just going to try and keep the spine nice and straight here. So we're just, you might want to pull the belly in here. I always have to hoik mine up a little bit to get some extra space. But we're folding from the hips and trying to keep a nice straight spine here. And bear in mind, this is the first forward fold that we've done today, so it is probably going to be a little bit curved. So don't worry too much about it if it is, okay? And just keeping the toes pointing upwards. So the toes are coming up towards you or pointing up towards the ceiling. And then inhale. Let's come back from there. Release, remove the block from your seat if you had one there. And we're going to bring those knees up a little bit. My controversial, one of the first poses in Navasana. Okay, so we're just going to keep the knees nice and bent here and a nice straight spine. So sometimes what can be really helpful to keep the spine straight is to squeeze the elbows in by your sides, and depending on the rotation of your tibia and fibia, your palms might be turned down or up or in. Doesn't matter as long as you're squeezing those elbows by your sides and keeping a nice straight spine. Now draw the belly in, and we're going to inhale, and then exhale, start sliding the feet in towards you until they start lifting off the mat. Now you're going to feel those tummy muscles start engaging pretty quickly. Okay, if you're shaking loads right now, that's totally fine. Okay, we're in Navasana, it's boat pose. It's a massive exercise in core strength. So keep thinking about pulling in and up through the pelvic floor, up through the front of the body. If you want to extend the legs, you can. If you feel like you can keep a nice straight spine and extend the arms out in front of you, also fine. But don't worry if that's not accessible for you today. And then let's cross those ankles, which is quite nice for those hips. And just roll forwards a little bit here. We're going to bring our hands down in front of us and bring the feet back. So we're in a high plank. So just in this high plank, we're just going to hold it in here for a second. Again, working with our core muscles. So just pulling the belly in a little bit. Nice long breaths. And the quads will be fully active. The glutes are active as well in here. And then we're just going to push up into a downward facing dog. Now in your downward facing dog, we're just going to be stretching through those legs. So you can make this as fluid and as intuitive as you feel it needs to be. So if you need to soften the knees, it's absolutely fine. Again, we're more interested in the length through the spine here. So I want you to think about what's happening with your fingers. So spread those fingers out as far as they can. One of my yoga teachers used to say to me that she wanted to see my thumbs pointing towards each other. I mean, it's a physical impossibility, but you know, that's where we're aiming to get to. And just pedal through those legs, stretch through those calves, Stretch through those hamstrings and keep a tiny little micro bend in the elbows here. If your arms are locked, you're going to not be building any strength up in the shoulders and the lats up here. So with a little micro bend, you'll start activating muscles that you probably didn't know were there. So just some nice pedaling movements through here. And then let's slowly walk the feet up towards the top of the mat into a forward fold. Okay, and your forward fold, everyone's forward fold is going to look different, so don't worry about that. Okay, my hands might be here, that's fine. Okay, but we're just going to breathe and allow the body to sink into this forward fold. So you're going to be feeling it through those hamstrings for sure, but let's just think about what the feet are doing here. So while we're down here, and if you can reach your toes, let's pull the little toes up and out to the side. So much like we did with the fingers, we're spreading out those toes, activating each toe one at a time. So lifting up the second outside toe, then the middle toe, then your, I guess you'd call it index toe. It's probably got a special name that I don't know, but, and then your big toe. So we're just waking up those toes and try and take the weight into those toes now in this forward fold. And we're going to inhale with a nice straight spine coming all the way up and up into Vrikshasana. You can't see, but my hands are up towards the ceiling here. And exhale to Samasthiti. Okay, let's take this left leg back here. So the right foot's at the front. Okay, and let's just move those hips around here. Good. I'm glad that everyone has now like embraced the hip swiveling here, the John Travolta, the Beyonce, whatever you want it to be. This is just so, Romani, I know you've probably never done this before with me, at least not with me, but we're just working into our hips here to just observe how they move, how our own hips move. And you'll notice that everyone's hips are different. So we kind of come into Trikonasana in here. And so this back foot, you may need to move it in or out. And that just depends on you. So when you go into the pose, you might notice it a bit more. Let's extend the arms out to the side and draw the belly in. Okay, so thinking about engaging through the pelvic floor and lifting that belly button in and up towards the diaphragm. Shift those hips back, straight legs, both legs are straight, and then start reaching forward towards the right hand. You're kind of looking towards this right hand as you go forward, and then you come down. Okay, and looking up towards that left hand. Gorgeous. So you might have the back of your hand pressed into the inside of that right leg. That's great. It might be here, it might be here, it might be here. It doesn't matter. But just keep that back leg pressing backwards here. Okay, so we want to keep that back leg active. The left arm could be up towards the ceiling or on your lower back, depending on how it feels for you today. If you are hypermobile in the knees, just remember to lift up the big toe and press into the ball of the front foot so that you're not locking that knee. Okay, and let's inhale and come back up. We're going to turn towards this right foot and take your hands to hips here. So both feet facing forwards in here. Again, if you're hypermobile in the knee, just pressing into the ball of the front foot and lifting the big toe a little bit. So both feet facing forward. Don't worry if your heel lifts at the back, doesn't matter. Inhale, lift up the chest. Again, nice straight spine. And we're going to lead from the chest and fold from the hips. Almost as if you were back bending, I guess. Okay, and just keep folding forwards in here. Very slowly, take your time in here just to allow this front leg to soften into it. And it might take you several breaths to bring yourself down into this forward fold. And you might just end up staying here, and that's totally fine. So we're going to use a block or 2 blocks if you need them. And you don't have to use a block. If you're happy getting to the floor here, that's absolutely fine. I just really like a block. Okay, and we're going to come into Parivrita Trikonasana. So we're revolving our Trikonasana in here. So let's take the left hand to the block or to the mat here. And we're going to go from here into a twist out towards this right leg. So left hand here, and it could be further forward, out to the side, further back, depending on the proportions of your body. And then we're twisting out towards this right leg. And you might want to just take the right hand to the lower back. That's fine. Or you can extend it all the way up. When you're in the pose, you might feel that you're a bit constricted at the front here. If you've got a long body, that can feel like that. So you might want to take the back leg a little bit further back to get a little bit more length through the spine. There's nothing to say that you can't move or adjust in your pose when you're there. Okay, if it doesn't feel right, you must change it and adapt and go where your body wants to go. Okay, we're looking for a nice twist through here. And then inhale. Let's bend this front knee. Okay, and we're going to bring ourselves up through Veerabhadrasana A in here. So you can have your arms up with palms separate, so your palms are sort of facing each other, or you can bring the palms together. It depends on your shoulders really in here. And what we're aiming for here is a nice right angle through the right leg, the front leg, and really reaching through that back leg here. Okay, nice long breaths in here. I always find this a really strong pose. I don't know if it's just because I'm lazy, but I think this is probably one of the hardest poses to hold for a long time. And then inhale and bring your palms together here at the front. Let's take another twist. So we're going to inhale, lift up the chest and twist it around to the right and then fold forwards onto that right thigh. It might be your forearm on the right thigh. It might be your upper arm on the right thigh. Either way, you'll still be getting a twist through here, and we're just twisting out to the right as we did in Parivrita Trikonasana. We're going to do this here in our twisted warrior. Okay, nice long breaths. And inhale, come back up. Let's straighten this front leg, and we're going to bring this left foot back up to the top of the mat. So we're back up in Samasthiti here, hands together in prayer at your heart center. Nice straight spine. Also, I think known as Tadasana, or that might be just with your arms by your side. I can't actually remember. Okay, and we're going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just going to turn here so I can see you. But you can stay where you are. But this time we're going to take the right leg back here. So right leg back. And we're going straight into our little Beyonce, John Travolta. I need to think of a different word. Hula hoop. It's like you know, when you have a hula hoop. I mean, I've never been able to do that. I don't know if anyone else is skilled in that. It always seemed like an impossible thing for me to do. I just don't think I've got any rhythm. But anyway, it's good for the hips to just get into those hips, wake them up a little bit and adjust them as it feels right for you. So you might feel that this side you don't need to adjust it at all. Maybe this side is absolutely fine, or maybe it needs a bit more than the other side. Inhale, take the arms out, draw up through pelvic floor and lifting up through the front of the body, and then shift those hips back and let's extend towards this left hand this time. So reaching towards that left hand and then bringing it down. You might be here, you might be here, you might be here. Again, it doesn't matter, and right hand could be on lower back if you don't want to take it up towards the ceiling. That's totally fine. And keep that breath going. And remember, we're pressing through the back foot. So if you need to adjust that back foot and take it a little bit further back, please do. And again, anyone with hypermobile knees, just try not to lock that front knee, soften it a little bit, or press into the ball of the front foot and lifting up the toe here. And then we're going to inhale, come back up. Let's turn this front foot towards the back foot towards the front foot. Okay, and hands on hips here. Okay, so again, don't worry if this back heel lifts, it doesn't matter. And we're going to lift up the chest, and then we're going to exhale. Oh, Neve, what happened? Did your camera go crazy? And then we're going to fold forwards. So folding forwards in here. Okay, and down, down, down. And take your time, again, take your time. You'll have felt a lot more squishy on that right leg at the end of our that side, but now we're back to the beginning of the left side, and sometimes one side is going to feel a lot stronger than the other. I'm just going to get my block again. So if you need your blocks here, take your blocks. They're absolutely fine. Props. I was trained in Ashtanga Vinyasa and we didn't use props at all. They were sort of poo-pooed, but I love a prop now. So bringing your hand down onto your block or book or mat, whatever feels right for you. It just depends on your body's proportions. Okay, and we're going to just then twist the body out towards that left leg. So we're twisting it out and extending that arm up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable for you, or taking it to the lower back. And again, in here, you might find that you want to adjust this back leg. So you might want to take it further back if you're not gaining enough space through the spine, or length through the spine rather. Okay, and we're looking for this gorgeous twist through here and lengthening through that front leg as well. So lots going on in this pose. Parivrita Trikonasana. If you're familiar with the Sanskrit. Okay. And then we're going to inhale, and bending this front knee, we're going to bring ourselves up through Veerabhadrasana A. And again, you could have palms pressed together or the palms apart. It's up to you. I can hear somebody knocking on my door. I'm just going to check it's nobody important. Oh. I'm just working. Okay. Sorry guys, I probably left you in Veerabhadrasana for ages. Okay, and I was saying, oh, it's like one of my least favourite poses, sorry. And then press the palms together and we're going to come into a twist. Inhale, and then exhale, twist to the left, and then it's either the forearm or the upper arm that you'll be taking to this left thigh here, and then twisting around towards the back of the mat. Breathing, keeping that breath nice and long, and adjusting that back leg again if you need to. And again, not worrying about the heel, lifting off the mat if that is what's happening for you. Gorgeous. Okay, let's inhale, straighten that front leg. So we're coming back up, and then bring that right leg back up to the top of the mat and back in Samasthiti here. So I'm just going to come back over here. So yeah, sorry about that interruption. This wouldn't happen in the studio, would it? Okay, and we're going to bring ourselves through a little vinyasa, coming down through a little vinyasa before we come into our next pose. So inhale, take the arms all the way up through Vrikshasana, tree pose, and then exhale. Forward fold into Uttanasana. So into our forward fold. Let's inhale and lift up into Ardha Uttanasana. So this is your extended forward fold where we're lengthening through the spine at the top here. So we're always thinking about folding from the hips. If your hamstrings are really tight, soften the knees a little bit to keep a nice straight spine. Okay, and we're going to bring ourselves from here, bring the hands back, and then up into Utkatasana. So Utkatasana is our chair pose here. Again, we're going to take a little, few breaths in Utkatasana, which is super strong on the quads. So if your quads are burning right now, don't worry, so am I. And then we're going to bring ourselves down into a little squat pose here. So you're coming onto your tiptoes, your heels will lift, so don't worry if they have lifted. So we're in a little squat pose here. Now, we're going to go from here into a little twist. So another little twist. I just really like twists today. So we're going to twist around to the left, okay, with your hands in prayer. And this is almost a little balance here as well. So if you wobble out of it, don't worry, just try and bring yourself back in and think about squeezing those thighs in together. Okay, because when the thighs sort of start to separate, the balance will go. If you're happy in the twist and you want to take it further, bring your forearm onto the thigh or bring your upper arm, the balance, upper arm onto the outside of the thigh, and you'll get a stronger twist through there. Really important here is your gaze point, your drishti. So generally in this pose, your drishti is the tip of your nose, but I'm actually just going to look at something on the floor because sometimes when I look at the tip of my nose, it makes me even wobblier. Okay, inhale, back to center. Probably those legs, those calves and heels are just getting a bit lactic acid buildup in there. That's fine. We're just going to twist around to the right and fold. You don't have to take as long as me to do this. If you're out of it already, that's fine. Keeping the thighs together, twisting, and then we're going to bring the hands down to the mat and lift back up into a forward fold. And never has a forward fold felt like such a relief on the ankles and around those muscles around your calves, okay, and even your toes. Inhale, lift up again into Ardha Uttanasana, extended forward fold, and bring your hands back to the mat, and we're going to bring those legs back into high plank. And we're going to go from high plank. Anyone who's happy to go from high plank to chaturanga to Urdhva Mukha, so upward facing dog, you can. Or we're going to go from high plank, drop to the knees, release the feet, and bring ourselves into a little back bend here. Now, you can drop to the thighs here as well. You can split the legs as well, if that makes a little back bend easier for you. Also, you could take the hands further out to the sides if that helps you to get more of a back bend that feels comfortable. We don't really want any pinching in the back here. And we're thinking more about the shoulders, the upper body, than worrying about the lower back. So if you need to sink forwards a little bit in here, so that it's less pressure on the lower back, you can, and just work with bringing those elbows in by your sides. Okay, so we're in a really nice back bend here. Then we're going to sink forward, so allowing the body to sink forwards in here. And we're going to bring ourselves into another option for back bend. Okay, so in here, we're going to take the arms back by your sides, and your tip of your nose or forehead is pressing into your mat here, or off your mat if you've fallen off your mat. And we're going to bend the left knee in and try and catch hold of that left foot with the left hand. You might need to turn it out to the side to grab hold of it. That's absolutely fine. Now, if you can only get one side at a time, we're going to do one side at a time. Or if you can take the other foot and grab it, we can do both feet at the same time. Okay, so we're going to bring ourselves up into a back bend from here. So we're going to push the feet into the hands to extend through the spine here in a very nice supported back bend. So you're pushing the feet up and away. Okay, so it's the legs that are kind of propelling the pose in here. Gorgeous. Lovely, everybody. If you're on one side, that's fine. You're just going to support yourself with the other hand and just push the foot into the hand on the side that you're doing. Bring it back down, swap sides, and do the same on the other side. Okay, so it's really up to you. And the other thing is that you could always use a belt as well in here, a yoga strap around the foot. If you can't quite get the foot, then just put a strap around the foot or a dressing gown belt, whatever you need. And then come back down. Now, back bends are super gorgeous for energizing. And also they're real, twists and back bends are really good at complementing each other. So press your hands into the mat. But of course, when we do a back bend, we do need to come into our counter pose. So we're going to bring ourselves up and bring the hips back and come into a little child's pose through here. And in this child's pose, feel free to split the knees apart and just roll from side to side in here. And that's going to help release that lower back a little bit. If you feel like it was the upper back that took more of a bend in here, you could bring your knees closer in together. And then you're going to curve the spine a little bit more here. So it just depends on what your body naturally did in your back bend and what it naturally feels better doing in your child's pose. Okay, so if it's your upper back that bent more, you might be better with your knees together in child. Or if it was your lower back, it might be better with the knees split in child's pose. Okay, and just taking a couple of breaths, nice easy breaths in here. Just allowing your breath to soften again. So just take your time in here. And again, if you've got your knees together, you can still roll from side to side. And that's actually a really nice little internal organ massage as well. All the rolls of Christmas dinner. And then bring yourself back up onto hands and knees. And we're just going to take a nice little cat and cow through here. Okay, so my cat and cow is a very fluid cat and cow. But if you really love traditional cat and cow, you can inhale, arching the spine, looking up in your cow. And then exhale, tucking the tailbone under, pressing into the hands and stretching across the top of the back in this sort of angry cat, chin into chest, don't forget, and drawing the belly in here. And I like to move from side to side. But then if you want to take it into a much more sort of fluid and intuitive movement, you can sort of roll through cat and cow, going in little circles or figures of 8 and rolling it through, and you'll get really a little bit more into loads of different little spaces around the scapula, around the lats, everywhere really, and the hips, and go both ways to make sure you're taking a figure of 8 one way and then the other. Okay, gorgeous. And I'm just going to see, I can't see the time, so I don't know. Oh, great. Oh, 11, that's a good time. Okay, and we're going to come through here, tuck those toes under again, and come back up into downward facing dog. Now, I feel like we haven't done pigeon for ages, and I just wanted to put it in here today because we can store a lot of emotions and things in our hips. They can become very, very tight. So we're just going to take a little pigeon here, but for a longish time. So let's inhale first into a 3-leg dog, and we're going to use this 3-leg dog as well here. So let's press through this left heel in this three-leg dog, to just open up through the back of that leg again and through the inside of this left leg. And if you wanted to bend the knee behind you, this up leg, if you wanted to bend it behind you to get another little back bend in here, you're very welcome. And then we're going to exhale and bring that right knee forwards here. Okay, so the right knee is coming forwards. And then we're going to drop the back knee and release this back foot. So splat on the mat. Now in Pigeon, everyone is going to experience this differently. So there's loads of options here. So if it feels really tight for you, then just go easy on it. Some people will feel like it's very strong through the quad. So Neve, I think you will get a very strong feeling through your quads in Pigeon and probably through the back hip flexor. There's lots of areas you're going to be feeling it. So you can either stay upright with the knee pointing forwards, just as we came through from three-leg dog, or you can turn that knee, I can't really see it, but I'll just turn this way, or you can turn that knee out to the side and bring that right foot a little bit further up. So one teacher once said to me that we were aiming to get the front bottom leg in line with the top of the mat. So I don't think I've ever been able to do that, but and again you can then take the back leg a bit further back, edge it back, and then sink forwards into your pose. And you could sink forward into it from the beginning pose as well if you wanted to. Now sometimes I quite often put this into a yin class because it's a really nice pose to do in yin, and in which case you'd want some nice support underneath the front of your body, but you could bring a cushion here and bring your head to the cushion, or you could have a block and place the top of your head on the block. And we're just going to take a few nice long breaths in here. If it feels really tight for you, you might not be able to take such long breaths to begin with. So you're going to take your time. To allow your breath to soften. If you need to lift up in the pose, then you can. And the longer you stay in the pose, the more you might feel that you can take the knee either further out to the side, or the longer you stay in the pose, the more you might feel yourself softening into it. I could also say that the longer you stay in this pose, the more emotions it might bring up. And some people love Pigeon, they love it, stay in it for ages, and they don't get any cross feelings. I'm not like that, and if you are getting cross feelings in Pigeon, I feel you. Because I always feel like it releases so much. And I'm always on the, quote, edge of discomfort, which is kind of where you want to be in this pose. So just holding it for a few more breaths in here. And it is just the sitting with the pose that can help to release it sometimes. Okay, we're going to slowly come up from here. And if you feel like that was really, really strong for you, and you want to just come straight into a downward facing dog and then and just hang out in there for a little bit, you can. But for anyone who feels like this was really their pose and they absolutely loved a Pigeon, you can also evolve Pigeon into a swan. I know, it's really upgraded. Upgrade your pigeon to a swan. Okay, so if you want to upgrade your pigeon to a swan, you can stay with the leg here at the front. You could, I love a block, place a block under your right hip or right seat, and then you could bring your arms up here. So this is your swan. Now, if you want to evolve into magical mystery land, you could equally evolve, I mean, I'm not sure it's really evolving, but into a mermaid pose, okay? And mermaid, you'll be turning outwards, so towards the, no, my tummy's popping out, towards the open side of your body, so not the bent knee, and bring your bent knee at the back here. And try and just hold that. You could stay here with your hip resting on your right hip resting on your block or your book or whatever it is, cushion, and right hand here on the right knee. That's the first stage of mermaid. Second stage, if you feel like you want to go for it today, bring the hands together at the front. Okay? Third stage, bring that right hand behind you and catch the hand. And then final stage, if you've got nice open shoulders, which, you know, not everyone does, you're going to reach this right arm up towards the ceiling, so kind of through half a swan, and then bring that left hand up behind you and catch the fingers there. Gorgeous, Mari. Beautiful. Okay, and everyone, oh, lovely. Ramani, that's gorgeous. And also I just love your dog who's like taking center stage right now. Nicola, your dog needs to get involved. They could like be best friends. Okay, and then we're going to release out of there. And that's a real back bend as well. So let's just take our time coming out of here. So bring your hands down to the mat and really start with bringing the back knee and touching the toes if that hip helps. Bring that leg back. It might take a two-phase, you might have to take a two-phase approach. If you want to come into a child's pose first, you can, if you did the mermaid and it was a bit of a back bend for you, or you could just come up through downward facing dog, and we'll be all coming through downward facing dog eventually. Okay, so nice breaths in this downward facing dog. Okay, and just pedal it through there when you feel like your hip has eased off a little bit. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just going to turn around, because otherwise if I do it that way, then it's harder for me to look at you. Okay, so this way. So then we're going to take the left leg up into a three-leg dog, first of all. And again, we're going to work through this three-leg dog by lifting the heel up and down on the standing leg to work into that right thigh, right hamstring, right inside of the leg. And if you want to take it into a back bend here, you can bend the knee behind you. And then we're going to bring that knee forwards and through, dropping that knee. Now I'm faced with the lack of care I've given to that plant. Okay, and then we're going to bring ourselves into our pigeon. Okay, so you're going to be in this position to begin with, and then see how it feels in here, what your body wants to do. So it might want to take that left knee out to the side a little bit more and slide the right leg back. Remembering that the areas that we're going to be working into are quads, left outside of left hip, sometimes a little bit on the front of the left hip, and certainly through the right hip flexor. Okay, unless you've got really sort of soft hip flexors. And then when you feel like you are ready, I've left my block, oh, there's not, to sink down into the pose, you're going to sink a little bit deeper down into that pose. Okay. So some nice long breaths in here. Okay. And again, you might feel that it's a lot less strong on one side than the other. So maybe you found the right side pretty easy, or maybe or maybe it was just you weren't struggling with it, and then suddenly you're on this side and it's like, oh God, why did I not realize how horrible this was? Or maybe, you know, it's the other way round and it was much harder on the right side, and now you find that you've got a bit more space on the left. Well, in Chinese medicine, and actually also a little bit in yoga, the left side is the feminine side, and the right side is the masculine side. And they kind of relate to different sides of your brain as well. So your left brain is your logical side, and your right brain is your creative side, which I know sounds weird, but actually you cross over in the middle of the body. The left physical side is the right side of your brain. So make of that what you will, because I think I've just confused myself there. Can't remember what point I was trying to make. Okay, so just taking your time in here, just working through any thing that is coming up for you here. Usually for me in Pigeon, I start thinking, why is she keeping us in this for so long? Oh, why did I ever come here? Okay. And then we're going to slowly walk ourselves up. If you felt like you needed to take longer in there, please take longer. That's absolutely fine. But we're going to upgrade our Pigeon, or evolve our Pigeon into a swan. So you might want to take your block onto the outside leg, so the left hip, and place it under that hip for a bit of support there for balance. And then we can take the arms all the way up in a swan and breathe through there. And again, you might find that it's easier or harder through this side. And then we're going to bring those arms down, or unless you want to stay in swan, and then take your right knee, bending the right knee in towards the body. So you're going to catch hold of that foot either with the hand or with the, or it's going to tuck into that elbow. And then you could stay here, or you could bring the hands together at the front, Mermaid 2. Or you could take this left hand behind you, Mermaid 3. Or you could reach this left arm up and back, Mermaid 4. Okay? And the shoulder is such a tricky joint. So if you are struggling with your shoulders in here, please don't worry about it. The shoulder is such a tricky joint. It's you know, there's so much going on in here. You've got clavicles, you've got the ball and socket of the, but not so much like the hip. It's like a demi ball and socket because it moves, you know, this way and that way and all that. But it doesn't have as much strength or stability as the hip. It's a very unstable joint. Okay, and then we're going to slowly come out of there, walk the hands a little bit further forward, drop, as in take the pressure onto that back knee a little bit, if you want to come into a child's pose first, if that feels good for you because of the back bend, then that's going to be really nice. You can keep the toes pressed if that helps to get a little bit more into that lower back. And then from there into a downward facing dog. Okay. And just breathe. That was my hip clicking there. So if your hips are clicking, don't worry. Okay, into your downward facing dog and flex and pedal it out in there. Okay, and we're going to bring ourselves from there back down into a child's pose. And then from our child's pose, we're going to come into Shavasana. I know that doesn't seem like a very good transition, but it's, you know, child's pose is a very nice decompressing pose, and then we're going to come bring yourself down into Shavasana. So this is your chance to grab all your duvets, sleeping bags, socks, slippers, hoodies, anything and everything that you want to make your Shavasana really work for you. I've just got to find another seat because my cat has stolen my desk seat. So I'm just going to bring this miniature armchair over here. Okay, and you can either have a seated Shavasana or you could have a reclined Shavasana, and it is up to you. Okay, and just take your time to bring yourself down. Okay, so if you are seated, just make sure that you've either got some support behind you, or you're sitting on a bolster, or your pelvis is rotating forwards, so you're getting a nice straight spine. And bring yourself roughly into the same position as we started. So nice long spine, chin coming down into the chest. You can close your eyes, have your hands on your knees, but if you are in reclined, just allow your body to start sinking. Take some time in here to adjust your heels and hips and shoulders. And let's bring your focus again down into the movement of your breath, into that comforting sensation of your chest, lifting and expanding as you inhale. And softening and dropping as you exhale. And keep doing that just a couple of times. And then we're going to bring your focus more into the movement of your breath as it comes in through the nose, all the way down the spine to the base of your spine. And then moves back up again on the exhale and out through the nostrils. And I just want you to visualize this movement of breath as a golden bead. And the breath is a line of energy that moves, that starts at the tip of your toe, tip of your nose, moves up towards the third eye and down the spine, through your chakras, down to the base of your spine, your root chakra, Muladhara. So just watch that bead as you inhale, move through the nose, up to the third eye, to the crown of the head, and then down. All the way down to the base of your spine. And then as you start to exhale, it starts to move back up, just timing or coordinating your breath with this bead. And through our practice, we've physically manipulated the movement of energy or prana or life force through the chakra. And with this focus on the breath here, kind of just consolidating that a little bit. But I invite you to also try and visualize that from this golden thread and this bead of breath, of life force, of prana, that movement of energy expands from there across the physical shell of your energetic body. So imagining your body as a vessel of billions, trillions of energy particles. And with this focus on the breath, all those little particles are being reactivated, recharged, rebalanced. And you could just visualize that energy, that sort of subtle energy that is life force or life or chi, that which makes us our conscious selves, start to vibrate. And the more focus and application of focus on this energy that we bring to ourselves, the more powerful our vibrations become. Until eventually we're vibrating on the same level as this universal energy all around us. And there is no discernible difference between any living thing if we're all just made up of energy. So if you have been in a reclined position, just slowly start to move your body up towards a seated position. I'm sorry, I ran over a little bit. I didn't realise what time it was. And just bring your hands into a prayer here. And just take a moment to reflect back on anything that came up for you in your practice today. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, questions. Just allow yourself to process those. We'll close our practice now on an exhale, on an on. So inhale. Namaste, namaste, all of you guys. Thank you. Thank you. I always want to I just want to unmute everybody, and then it's just I can't. I have to just. Oh, I think I've just unallowed you to mute yourselves.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, it's Isie, Suzette. It's Isie, not Lizzie.
Is it?
Yeah. Have you been calling me Lizzie all this time, and I've not even noticed?
I knew that. Sorry. I
It's okay.
Sorry.
Don't worry. To be fair, I've been called much worse, Suzette. Much worse.
Thank you, Izzy.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
See you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
Wow.
Ciao. Bye. Oh, goodbye.
Bye. See you next time.
Bye, Mari. Lovely to see you. Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Oh, you look so serious.
No, I'm just watching everybody. That's all. I'm being nosy, looking into the houses and seeing what their furniture's like.
Oh my God, I can never see any furniture in anyone else's except for Neve's, but then it's her bed, so you know.
Yeah.
But you can see. Do you want to see my studio? I think it's my studio slash. It's actually my top bedroom.
Okay.
I'm just going to show you. Oh my God, it's actually really hard to like. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Let me turn it. Oh no, that won't work. Right. So that's my wardrobe, and that's my like light for yoga.
Oh, yeah.
There's my cat who's stolen my chair. So, and then here is the chair that I was just sitting on.
Okay. Yeah.
So then that's my computer where you are.
I can see myself. Oh, that's weird.
I know, it's so weird, isn't it? Then this is the futon. This is
Okay.
and yesterday I was sitting on this futon and I did a life drawing class of marine animals.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's the doll's house, which is out of shot. My dying plant.
Yeah.
And then that's a shower room there.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you can see. Oh yeah, that's the other window, which is
Yeah.
where I've piled all my crap.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I just realised I'm still recording.